Hey, good morning, folks. We're going to continue working on the Spelljammer Combat and Exploration Supplement that we have been working on here for the past year. We're getting into the home stretch of getting this thing published, so that's really exciting. I'm going to go check my signal, get through my intro spiel, and then we'll get to work here for 100 some odd minutes. So let's see. Checking my signal is ABC123, you and me, beep 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 beep. Checking my signal is ABC123, you and me, beep 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 beep. Checking my good. All right, sounds good. Baka baka. Baka. And here, and let's see. Getting into my intro spiel. Hey, my name is Phil Kearney. I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, and then I publish them online. I've been focusing my attention on Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition for about the past 5 years now, and there are a slew of links in the description down below that lead you to different things that I've created in the past. If you're here for Pixels, there's probably about 150 illustrations among just the works that I'm referencing down there. If you click on the full preview button or the eye icon if you are on a mobile phone, you can peel open any of those documents as a PDF, check them out. You can read them cover to cover. So 150 some odd illustrations for you guys to take a look at. And if you are here for the 5e, for D&D stuff, or for Spelljammer specifically, hey, the stuff that I build is meant for both DMs and players to take advantage of. And so if this is the type of stuff that you're interested in, you check that stuff out, try out the free preview, maybe play things through in a campaign for a while. And if you think any of that stuff is cool, consider making a purchase to support similar misbehavior. Otherwise, you can you can follow me on Twitter, X, at Phil Kearney. Best way to support the channel overall is to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notifications when I'm live in the future, because I am live 6 days a week doing a number of different projects that we may talk about along the route. But today we are doing Spelljammer Art. So we'll have an idea, we'll play test it. If it feels fun, we'll build out rules for it. We send it off to an editor. The editor then sends it back to us. We then break up the text into various pages. This document is 100 and this is 107 pages, and so when we when we do layout, we have these little pockets that open up that we can put illustrations in. And so, like, for instance, computer is acting really wonky today. Vertical. Huh. Anyway, so we'll have a page like this. We have a gap in the page. We'll then go to Photoshop like here, and we'll we'll drop the page into a PDF. We'll import the PDF here into Photoshop, and then we fill the space with illustration. So this is the piece that we've been working on currently here and here. You can see they match. So when we finish doing this illustration and the work is done, we'll export all of these illustrations out of Photoshop back into Word, and we'll have a completed product. And I don't know why this thing... There we go. Immersive reading is... Nope, that's not what we wanted. What's going on? View... View, read mode, no, view. How is this supposed to work? Print layout, web layout, outline, draft, focus, side to side, show, zoom, multiple pages. There we go. Now we're finally back on track. God, that was all the settings on this got like reset somehow. That's super. Anyway, that's not the point. The point is that we're illustrating stuff today, my man. So let's get into that. So we've been working on this piece for a few sessions. The way that we roll is we will warm up by illustrating asteroids, and once we finish those, we'll shift back over to working on the spider fighter craft, the spiderling fighter craft, and yeah, tally ho. So if you're here checking out, be welcome to just to shout out in the comments if you wish. If you got any questions, certainly be welcome to shout out and ask, and see what you can do to make me say shout out like 5 fucking more times. Oh, cheers to everyone. Let's grab our chisel brush that makes marks like that, and let's grab our razor, which does things like that. And so this chisel brush is what I use for all the asteroids that I make. I just do stippling like this. See, it creates these neat little pockets and little bump effects. And then I'll use the razor blade, and I'll use the razor at about 70% opacity and a really small scale here. Like this. There was worth mentioning. Wally DM on his Discord channel. There was a question about the tear effect on pages that Wizards of the Coast uses to frame illustrations. Like in this piece here, instead of having a faded edge, they would have like this torn page effect. And there was a question about how does that effect work. So I thought I was going to take a second here and create. So what you do is you create a layer mask. And a layer mask allows you to draw, to erase over something and have the space appear underneath it, but still leave the actual illustration intact. So you can enable and then disable, so you can leave those marks on there, right? So we want to get rid of that, and then we can come back into here, and then let's grab a rough brush, something. Fuck it, we'll just use our chisels. So what will happen is they will then, instead of doing this faded effect with the pop out, they do this framing effect. So it would end up something like this. You know what? I'm not going to do it that way because it's covering the text, and that's not the point. There we go. Yeah, see now on the illustration layer here, only the illustration is being affected. So we can then pepper in some rough stuff like this, and then we can take our chisel here and push it up to like 90% to sculpt things the way that we want them to be. And then we'll use the chisel brush, the razor again here to just carve these things into shape. But you can just any kind of brush that you want to use in any aesthetic that you want. I believe actually what Wizards uses specifically is, let's delete that, and then let's create a new layer mask. And let's go into ye old brush sets and go fishing. I think we have let's go to the base. I believe they use something like a charcoal effect here. Let's check out how this brush works. And let's modify it, brush, so I can spin. View. No. Window. Brush. Settings. Thank you. We'll go to shape dynamic and we'll turn on the brush projector so the brush will spin. Maybe not that brush. Something like that. Let's go to charcoal large. Trying to find something. You should be getting the idea, but I just want to make this thing work. So I'm going to use an eraser here real quick, get rid of that. And then, yeah, there we go. Let's try this. Windows, brush settings, and shape dynamic is projector to be able to spin. And then we can use this razor at 100% and this razor for smudging at 100%. All you gotta do is when you lay this down, you can smudge and pull it across the page, so you can do a little bit of. There's its own little graphic design artwork sort of feeling to it. Like it has its own artistic flair, but it's not like they press a button and it happens. Someone is manually going in here like this and making these tear edge effects, something akin to that. And you can clean it up a little bit. There. That is, and then I can pull this down. I can pull that down separate from the image, so I could have it like that. Or I could pull it up further up into the image like this. Wherever it is that the text needs, however much border I want between the illustration and the text is how far into the illustration I can do this. But again, it leaves the illustration untouched. So that's essentially how this effect works. And then from there, it's just, how do you play jazz? And like what's your individual aesthetic that makes this work? But there is no like just button that they press to make the whole thing happen. This is essentially how it works. They may have a custom brush that they use, but if you practice, if you do this over and over and over again, you can produce whatever kind of effect you really want. But I just wanted to spend a moment on there to take a look at with you guys so you can see how that works. So yeah, we'll go ahead and let that go. Go grab our favorite brush. I cannot. Flip, blop, flip, blop. Let's go fetch our brush again. And we'll get back to work. Good. All right. Smooth off that edge there. There we go. This knob creates a neat little shadow pocket opportunity. Oops. Wrong button. Blip, blop, blip. Blip, blip, blip. For those that that are keeping tabs on the progress of the conversations that we have, hey there. If you're keeping track of the conversations that we have here while we stream like this, I've got the I'm using the 1 meal a day means of losing weight. I am now 14 days into losing weight. I was 235 when I started 2 weeks ago. I am now down to 227 and change. So I'm losing about 4 pounds a week right now, a little bit less. So probably realistically like 3.5 pounds per week, just to be a realist about the loss, and that is about half a pound a day, which is about accurate. I'm consuming somewhere around 1,000 to 1,200 calories per day, 3,000 calories per pound of fat, and so we've got a decent little clip that we've got going on here. So by the 19th, which is 2 weeks from now, it would not be surprising if my 227 became 219. We'll see. We'll see how I get there. I tend to relax and enjoy on the weekends. We'll see how much I enjoy. But that's a pretty reliable clip, and it's not like I have that long to go. So 219 becomes 210 pretty easily by Thanksgiving, and then I'll probably gain a couple of pounds during the feasting season, as it were, and then probably by the end of November I'll be down potentially below 200 pounds. So I only have 19 pounds to lose, and even if I just lose 3 pounds a week, that's going to be 6 weeks from now. That's going to be before New Year's, which is a really decent clip. So returning to the gym and getting daily calisthenics in, like aerobic exercise on biking, as well as some light muscle training, weight training is probably all I'm going to really need to make sure that I can sustain the loss this time. So I'm getting comfortable with. I am blessed to be able to work from home, and I'm finally getting control over how I interact with the refrigerator. And first minimizing, like if I want to have garbage food, I have to go out and get it. It's not in the home. I basically only have salads, rice, and veggies in the fridge, and that prevents me from grazing on just garbage food. One of the problems in the corporate environment of offices is just the amount of garbage food that just lays around in bowls for people to eat. The free coffee is fantastic. It's the amount of small candies, sugar, stuff that makes it difficult. But the sugar kick keeps you running. You know, nuts and sugar is the fuel of the administration. That is how else to put it. Bureaucracy fair. Coin that phrase. That's great. Fade that in. It has kind of a, I'm gonna drop that down just a touch to reduce the amount of like little fingerling feathers that's going on here. I want to get rid of some of those so it fades into a more pockmarked texture instead of, leafy. So you can control the kind of texture that you have in your piece with the same tools, but by changing the strength or opacity of the settings that you're using. Like I dropped this down to a 50% strength, and now while I'm working this in, it's smoothing out some of those little feathery fingers that are being pushed into the shadow here. So with the with like we were showing yesterday, if you check that out, episode 228, it was we had to do. We've been creating a lot of diagrams to show movement, placement, how squadrons are grouped together, stuff like that. Just things on a battle map, so that it makes it easy for you to grok how movement and coordinating actions works in the system. And so that has caused it required a lot of rewriting of the content that is in the explanations, the text part of it. We created the text before we had the illustrations, and then once the illustrations come in, we see how the text needs to change to complement what's in the illustration or the diagram, so that the text is properly talking about what is being visualized. And what can be visualized is generally limited by what gaps are between, you know, the text and the between blocks of text and these blank spots that we're filling in. So that's been a really fun educational experience for me, because I haven't needed to create diagrams like in-game diagrams before. You can argue that a map is just a really is a playable diagram, which is true, and we've been accumulating a lot of experience for that in the Eberron adventure that we've been illustrating assets, building assets for. That's on Mondays and Thursday nights, by the way, including tonight. We will be doing a new map, probably like I think like an abandoned farmhouse, which sounds really mundane, but a lot of content, a lot of map content that's needed in fantasy role-playing games is just mundane content, simple, everyday, relatable spaces that grounds the fantasy. Like, you can have a fantastic setting, but if everything about your setting is fantastic, you're kind of losing where you don't have any grass you can touch, because all that grass is like a monster or something, right? So you need to have things that I'm going to up my strength now that I've got a good base. A good base texture built in here. So we can now curve this stuff into here like that. There we go. I tell you what, man, choosing not to eat it's difficult. It is the body wants its sugar, baby. It needs a fix, and it gets cranky when it doesn't. I end up having to soothe speak my tummy a lot. Like, you'll be okay, baby. Stuff like that. And the hunger pain subsides in time, but it can be just deafening. So the premise is simple, but simple doesn't mean easy. Simple never means easy. Simple just complicated. Simple is straightforward, understandable, intuitive, but often not easy. Complicated requires a lot of mental gymnastics, but can often be easier because it's complicated. By creating difficult scenarios for yourself, you limit the actions that you can take, which does simplify it. How to put it? It's a lot of times complicated ideas is a path of justification that is creating excuses for you to not do the things that are difficult, that are easy to understand, but takes a lot of willpower or persistence to achieve. What's a good example of that? if you're in a relationship, it's simple to understand that you should be loyal to your companion. But it can be difficult to do that if you're in an argument, or like if your relationship is eroding, if you're separated or divorced, or well, if you're divorced, it's not a relationship anymore. But like if your relationship is in tough times, it's simple to understand what the contract is, but it can be difficult to honor it because of your emotional state, as opposed to something complicated, like a side relationship that you've been maintaining and not disclosing to your partner. That can be a complicated situation, but it's easy for you to not tell them because the consequences of it are dire. But if your partner does find out about it, it could nuke your entire relationship. So it's easier to not mention the transgression, but it gets complicated because you have to keep stacking lies on it, and that complication will eventually become more difficult than what just simply telling the truth would have been in the beginning. And this can be with any kind of relationship, deception thing that you're hiding, including to yourself, about being real with yourself about like, I don't eat well. You know, it's easy to not think about it, but it gets complicated to maintain those mental gymnastics as I feel just like my clothes not fitting on me as well. And at some point, it just gets easier for me to just try to do the right thing than like switch out all my clothing or have to take diabetes, like insulin, for instance. That complicates things dramatically. And I did say traumatically. So anyway, that's kind of I know that's kind of a weak argument and a weak conversation, but it's just impromptu. So forgive the weak examples. Challenge yourself to see if there are pieces in your life that are simple to explain but difficult to honor and respect. And you'll start having an idea of where the weaknesses in the decisions that you make are coming from as well. This is about done. Voodoo. How does that feel? That feels pretty good. Push this in like that a little bit, just odd up the shape a little bit, just make it a little bit more interesting to look at. Block that off a little bit like that. That'll work. Cool. All right, so let's switch over to this asteroid and clean him up real quick. This. All right, I feel pretty warmed up. We'll save. I'll probably take care of those rocks later on today myself. Go. Clip off that toe. Nice. I love how this sits. This is so pretty. I'm thrilled. Thrilled with this. All right, cool. So we're gonna stitch up the rocks for now. And we're going to get back into the spiderlings. This is, we're working on the abdomen now, so let's zoom in on that. Neck pop to reset. All right, so let's get a reference back on screen here for us to get an idea of where we're at here. Close enough. What we can do here is I'm going to switch up our brushes. All right. First thing I want to do is just block in. Basically like that. Now I just want to get the curve right. That's too big, so I'll need to make it smaller. Up, so it's pretty. Something like that. Wow, that is crazy loud. Crazy loud. All right, I'm pretty happy with that. Let's start building out the floor here. Right. Is that how that goes? It broadens out almost immediately. Like this. There we go. Fill that all in like that then. There, is that proper? You know, if anything, I think maybe this needs to broaden out, like this. Sloppy as shit, but I mean, that's how it starts. Woof, these organic shapes are tricky, man. I tell you. That dopamine hit is strong when I nail it, though. It's worth it. My body loves the success. a lot of what keeps me illustrating at all is the fact that I've trained my body to get dopamine so much from the act of art. It is an addiction that I have created for myself, which is it fuels, it compels creativity for a chemical rush. It also helps keep my ass in the chair, so I keep getting work done. So like, getting yourself addicted to work is a good way to keep working. That might sound intuitive and obvious, but the practice, it's simple, but the practice of it takes a shitload of effort to get to that point. It's not like you're actively, well, now that we're having the conversation, we are actively observing and potentially promoting that implementation of dopamine to get ourselves addicted to workflow. But like Andy Huberman says, Andy Huberman is a neuroscience professor at I think it's Stanford, and he does a lot of interviews like on Joe Rogan and other places talking about the chemistry that goes into the why of what we do things, and talks a lot about serotonin, dopamine, different chemicals that get cocktailed through our body to compel behavior, basically. And so like I've been talking about, the process of art is a source of dopamine, and like I was just saying, it is very easy to get yourself addicted to a task that will provide dopamine for you. I love this song. That feels more right. There we go. Nice. All right, yeah, this is coming along. I think I'll spread this a bit more though. Yeah, that's feeling right. Still a little rough, but coming together nicely. Not perfect, but not horrible. Let's go with something darker. That doesn't feel darker. There we go. Oh, that ghrelin is just kicking on me. I typically eat around 10 a.m. and it's 7:15 here in Seattle, so it's like you get to eat soon. I'm like, dude, not that soon. Back off. And it's the hungrier you get, the more that you're burning off the fat. As a body gets really, really angry about eating fat stores, it has been trained for millennia to conserve fat on the body and is not happy that we don't just instinctively keep eating when it says to keep eating. Off altogether here. Smooth out that effect like that. That feels off. So I'm going to merge these things down like a fool. Fool? Add some shadow in here just to keep it buttoned here. Bop, bop, bop. I like that. Do I free transform? Can I? What happens if we boldly and arrogantly duplicate, merge this down so that we commit ourselves, commit ourselves to working on all of it at the same time? There we go. Is that how that works? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Good. Oh, nice. That worked out nicely. This was a good decision. God bless it. I'm leaning in, which means I need to zoom in. Don't lean, just zoom. There we go. Alan Raw. That's the name of the song, Alan Raw. By Blue Steel. Good mix. The Epidemic's got some fun music. That doesn't feel right. I need to. Damn, you're loud today. What is up with that? I feel like reality got reset somehow, and that there's just like different rules at play right now. That's starting to look pretty good. I'm happy with that. Let's get up here. And how's our strength these days, Father? 70%. That's pretty good, Father. God, I'm just zooming my face in here instead of the screen, I tell you. I mean, granted, that like this is the size that it's going to be visible at, so I mean, know your foe, right? Speaking of which, let's make sure. Still got, oh my God, we still got 40-ish minutes. God. I tell you what. Oh, do what you love and you'll love what you do. Go. That is turning out nicely. This is turning out nicely. Now. Still feels a little like this feels too much, you know? I need to pull this back in somehow. How do I do that? That helps. That definitely helps. Holy Hannah, these angles, man. Organic shapes ain't easy to achieve, my mans. Good. Still feels off. Hey, what's up, Flint? I am in. You're in class. That's incredibly kind of you to phrase it that way. Some may say detention, but cheers. The sentiment is greatly appreciated. I don't know if you're ever a fan of Fat Albert or not, but Russell and his God, what was Russell's little brother's name? Dwayne, I think. He's like, Russell, I'm gonna call you summer vacation. It's like, why you call me summer vacation? It's because you got no class. Fat Albert was great, man. There was some sick burns in that show. That was the one that I remember more than anything. That one really stood out to me. But they were sick burning each other like all the time in that show. It was legit, man. Fucking Fat Albert. I haven't thought of Fat Albert in probably years. God, what a non-PC show these days. I spy with my eyes something beginning with text. What's up? How you doing today, Plant? So we're taking the floor plan that we have here for the here's a side shot, but yeah. So we need to have this actually rise up a bit. Good point. There we go. That will probably help us with that curve effect that I was looking for on the abdomen in general. But converting ship floor plans into 3D illustrations is, it's a trick, man. It's a drafting challenge, and just getting the angles right is something I have to mince on quite a bit here, as you can see. But I'm pretty happy with the end result. I've never done detailed vehicle work like this. Like the most technical things that I do are like buildings or like armor. So this has really been stretching my my skill set in general. Like I never was big into tanks or trucks, like illustrating these things. Not since I was like 5 anyway. And that doesn't really count. Like doing something like this. Like pew 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 pew. That was me as a 5-year-old. That's what this led to. I'm spying some text down there. Give me a minute to get myself back to where I want to be. In control of this illustration here. Then I'll have time to check what text is happening. That is panning out. Sup? Burb. Ah, right on, dude. Oh no. Well, you know us now. We're here. We're here every morning. For those that are tuning in, that are new to the channel, we're here 6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. I take Sunday off for personal time with family and love. Monday through Friday in the morning, like this is what we do. We do Spelljammer ship art, and we continue until it's done. Mondays and Thursday nights, like this evening, we are doing cartography and creature tokens for an upcoming Eberron adventure that we'll be publishing on DMsGuild. We have on Saturday morning for a couple hours, we have a commission and personal project stream where if I'll take on one commission at a time, typically from content producers that need book covers or a unique illustration. And if I don't have any gigs lined up, then I'll work on whatever it is that Phils want to work on when they are free to do so. And so we've been working on this Underdark Abyssal Adventure book cover for the past month. And we're coming along nicely on it. And then on Tuesdays at lunch, we do game mechanics development for the martial power system. That will also be publishing on DMsGuild because of the color mana paradigm that we use with it. The whole purpose of the Martial Powers project is to have all 13 classes in Dungeons & Dragons using the same resource system, mana, to fuel different effects like spellcasting and stuff like that. Exploits, strikes, maneuvers, reactions, having a non-spell magic system, so that martial characters have a color identity in their mechanics, the same as full casters have color identity built through the color pools that they devote their spell points to when they're preparing spells. So you prepare the spells that you want, whether it's as a long rest or the spells that you learn when you level up. Either way, whatever aesthetic or whatever mechanics we end up going with, not aesthetic, whatever mechanics we end up going with for one D&D. I think they're going in the direction of everybody preps all the time, which is fine with me. I have no problem with that. But the words I'm trying to use are it's easy for you to say like have a white-green druid character that all of their mana is devoted to like white and green, and then they focus on white and green devoted spells off of the spell list, right? But fighters don't really have much to do with that sort of a conversation. But in Magic the Gathering, there are a ton of white-green skirmisher, like woodsland fighter type ranger characters that if given a white, like what would you do with a white-green identity for a ranger? Well, they have spells, sure, but they also have a very limited palette of spells. So if we open up maneuvers and powers and strikes and exploits that a ranger can use during adventuring, then you can have all of those different new options coded to different colors, so that a ranger or like a paladin that's devoted to like white and red magic can have all its spells fueled. And if a spell, like if you have like a white-red paladin and there's a spell that you want that's on, like, say, that's on the black mana list, and you're limiting for narrative reasons, like say you're a Boros paladin. Boros is strictly white and red magic. So if you want a green spell to get into your Boros paladin's list, then you would have to spend time and money to research the spell, or meditate with expensive incenses to learn how to use that black magic spell using white or green mana. So it helps reinforce a lot of these old first edition principles of encouraging downtime activity through the form of researching spells to be into another colors, or as well limiting what spell, like 5th edition as it is. If it's a spell, basically you have access to it unless the DM says no. But by having different spells devoted to different colors and then limiting what colors you have access to, white and red doesn't have access to anything that's blue, black, or green. So you now are limiting what your character can do as a character, like as a spellcaster. You're automatically cutting yourself off from what free spells you can get access to. And again, having to spend that time to learn how to use different spells in the color palettes that you want. And so it's a self-nerf system. You can take color mana and just leave the actual spell points generic, like as presented, like with Key for monks, or the variant rules in the DMG. The spell points are just generic spell points. If you know something you can use in the caster, that's great. And if you do that, then the narrative of being white and red magic, for instance, like if you pick up like if you pick up a green spell, something like I don't know, animal friendship, like why a paladin would have animal friendship, who knows, but let's just say they do, right? And that's a green spell. If you're using just generic spell points with narrative magic, then you can cast that animal friendship spell, but describe it in a context, in the flavor of white and red magic. So so there are no hard mechanics when it's just narrative style. It's just you're just changing the narrative of the spells that you're casting to match the colors that you use. But if you really want to challenge yourself, make those points actually be devoted to the color that you use. So when you run out of red mana, you can't cast red spells anymore. That is a severe self-nerf to the 5e game. But that's pretty much how first edition ran. If like you only memorized 3 magic missiles, you can't cast magic missile more than 3 times per day. And those 3 spells are cutting off access to other things. This spell point system allows you to still have the flexibility of, I can cast magic missile as often as I want, as long as I still have white and red mana, because magic missile is devoted to white and red magic. So, Boros would have easy access to that if a paladin could get magic missile onto a spell list. But like a white-red, like a Boros war mage would be devoted, would be a wizard devoted to white and red magic as well, limiting all the a Boros wizard can't turn invisible, right? Because invisibility is a blue magic spell, but Dimir can. There we go. Hey, Tex, what's up? This is more important than my education. I have no idea what's happening. I just like watching you drop. Right on, man. I'm glad. Are you just an artsy guy, or are you a D&D enthusiast as well, or are you a Magic the Gathering enthusiast? Because those are the 3 things that I basically devote a lot of my creative energy towards: D&D, Magic the Gathering, and artwork. And most of the time, I'm creating D&D stuff relevant to Magic the Gathering. I would say, Text, what's up? With Dungeons and Dragons? Yeah, right on. Well, it's role playing. I mean, that's what the book is for. That's what we're doing artwork for. This will eventually evolve into a book that people can use to play D&D in space. So, but if that's not your shtick, then who cares? No reason to bore you with the details if the details aren't important. Yeah, there's the channel has some identity crisis issues that's going to hamper its ability to really grow well. I only kind of talk about D&D and Magic the Gathering sometimes. I only kind of talk about artwork sometimes. It's a mishmash signal of what, because it's, you know, it's a lot of stuff, but it's mostly just me spending time on camera, because if I don't, I can maybe I'd sleep in today and not get some artwork done, and how is that going to help me actually get this book finished, you know? So the reason I started streaming in the first place was because these books that, I mean, this is a 107 page book. It's got like 50 illustrations in it. It's big. It's the biggest book I've ever created. And when I created a 75 page book that had 60 some odd illustrations, that was an intimidating project. That was the core, the color mana variant rule core mechanics book that I built. And that was a huge intimidating project. So I decided, well, if I get on and I stream every day, I'm at least guaranteed to get something done every day. I won't sleep in, I'll show up, I'll hold myself accountable. Accountability is like fucking everything in life. If you can learn to be accountable for the things that you do and say, and that generates integrity. Integrity creates trust. Trust creates opportunities with people that need people in their life they can trust. I would say high school isn't really that important for the education. High school is important to be able to start building that discipline that helps sculpt how you approach things. Like, homework is bullshit, but homework is also proof that you're willing to invest time and energy to succeed at something, which is a subtle low, it's like a low key benefit that isn't really appreciated by anybody that is in the high school experience. I didn't appreciate it either. But the discipline that you gain from adhering to an agreement, like school is kind of like a social contract, really. I mean, you can ditch it and blow it off, and they'll just push you through the system to get out of their face. But you might not actually learn anything that helps you if you approach it that way. If you go through the suffering of giving it the respect that the institutions want you to, you actually come out with the ability to be more respectable by other people. Like college is kind of a scam. I did college for a few years, realized that I wasn't really there for an education. I was there to avoid growing up. So after 3 years of indulging myself in excessive amounts of drinking and drugs, I was like, you know, I'm just racking up a huge loan to put off having to hold myself accountable. So I quit and entered the workforce without a degree. And it was a different time, though. 30 years ago, you could get a job with chutzpah. I don't know honestly what it takes to get a job, get a good job these days actually entails, but I know it's a lot more fierce competition now. So I don't know what the proper path. I have no guidance for people that are seeking solutions. Luckily, no one's asking me for solutions, because I don't think I actually have any good ones, because I know the world has changed so much that my boomer reality doesn't really apply to the reality that the younger generation is supposed to. I'm 50, so it's like I've been around the block like a lot of times. I've fucked up more times than a lot of people have succeeded. So I certainly have a lot of opinions about things. But honestly, if obviously I'm American, I'm in Seattle, so I have a very American mentality about the world, which is we're the center of the universe and everyone else is just drag. which is a pompous, horrible way to approach reality. But that's how our government keeps framing things, and I really feel like we all need to figure out how to make this world work for the kids that are coming up, because it just keeps getting more and more challenging. Everything gets more and more convoluted. It's really difficult to just keep things simple. So I think it would be wonderful if the world leadership would start getting on board with the idea that it's not all about them. There's a whole bunch of people that are really angry about how hard life has become, and that no one that can solve the problem seems to give a shit. It is, I think Fight Club put it best in that the Great Depression is our lives. Our war is a mental war. Our war is a spiritual war. Our Great Depression is our lives, I believe is the quote. And I feel that's becoming more and more true all the time. But as they say, it's darkest before the dawn. So all we have to do is just hold on, get a grip, and let the universe dance itself across the edge into oblivion, and we'll see what is reforged. It might be really fucking ugly in the process of getting there, and there might be a lot of suffering and pain for a lot of people, but for those of us that are still alive, the science gets done and we make a neat gun. For the people that are still alive. So, in passing almost with the fastest slide. Good on you. How small is the peanut thing you are drawing compared to the entire picture? Here you go. If we remove the references, here's the page. Here's the if the computer will respond. This is such a big file that, there we go. Zoom takes a while to grind in. So we go down here to the combat section and the roles that characters play on the ship that they're aboard. And this is the page that we're working on here. So if we pan out, thank you. We can see how big of a document this is, and then when we zoom in on each, and these are all letterhead, letter like 8.5 by 11 pages there, and then you can see the illustration here. But it's a PDF, so you can zoom a lot. So it's not necessarily important that I have this amount of detail here, but if I'm I use the artwork to promo the book when it's published. So I want to have obviously I want to have good looking art. It's like I've been a freelance illustrator for like 20 years. So me doing artwork like this gets me gigs with other publishers that produce work, that need artwork fulfilled. So the process of me creating my own artwork is not only creating distinct, unique artwork that is only in my books, but it also, streaming like this creates a proof of concept, like a proof of production that, like, hey, I'm not using AI art. You can see the progress that I'm making here with each piece that we go through. So that's going to become more and more important, especially in the role-playing game publishing industry, where there's so much anger and pushback from the role-playing audience about, we don't want AI art in our books, but more and more producers are attempting to go that way because it's easy, because it's a way for them to get more customized art and not have to pay hundreds of dollars. I'll charge $500 to $1,000 for a book cover, and that's a lot of fucking money when you might not make more than $2,000 on a book that you sell because you're a small indie publisher. So them having customized art is incredibly difficult. I am a very rare unicorn in the RPG industry that I'm capable. Like, I started with artwork and decided to get into book production. So when I produce a book, the only cost for high quality art for me is time spent. but the time I spend doing it is here promoting the work that I do and talking about stuff and building an audience. Whether they buy the books or not is another question, which again speaks to the identity crisis that this channel has between, is it an art channel? Is it a D&D creation channel? Is it a D&D philosophy channel? Or is it just a general hangout and bullshit channel? It's a bit of all of that, and that really makes YouTube say, fuck it. and it doesn't know how to categorize me, so I don't get, I haven't earned the growth yet, because the identity of the channel hasn't really been locked in enough. Regardless of the ridiculous amount of content that I put out, it doesn't fall into any easy categories. So text. Well, that's a threat. Yeah. I've got a zip drive. I actually saved this to an external zip drive. And I changed the drive that it's a hard state. There's no moving pieces. It's a solid state drive. So it's pretty stable. But I switch it out every couple of years just to make sure it doesn't get completely wrecked. But yeah, that'd be a nightmare. Thanks for giving me some nightmare fuel for tonight. That's greatly appreciated, guy. It'd be a shame if all that work of yours was to suddenly disappear. Do not have the brave powers. Greatly appreciated. Thank you. No. I can tell the question comes from love, because I've literally spent August, September, October. This is my 14th month working on this book on stream. It is by far the largest project I've ever done, and the previous book, my previous largest project, was 75 pages, and the Word file got corrupted at one point. And I had backups, but whenever I tried to publish, like I'd finished the piece in Word, and whenever I attempted to export it as a PDF, it would become corrupted. So it was locked on a Word file for about a week before I was able to find a way to. I had to basically rebuild the fucking thing. So I had all the assets. I just had to do all the layouts all over again, and then reintegrate and then import and arrange all the image files that I created for that book. Again, that was nightmare fuel. I screamed into many pillows. But it all ended up okay in the end. It was a great learning experience for me. I learned there was some text boxes inside of text boxes inside of text boxes that were stacked up to have a visual effect, and that was apparently too much. The coding to do that was making Microsoft Word throw up a little bit when it tried to process it for some reason. So I've just learned not to do that. Keep the use of objects in the Word file simple, because they increase the CPU consumption during processing. So that was an important lesson. I'm wiggling out this guy, but a little bit more here. Now the shape is off. There's druid magic in the game, like primal spirit magic. Druids are well, you probably know what a druid is, just because of game context, video game industry. But so a druid is like a nature priest that deals with spirits. And so one of the things that you can do in Dungeons and Dragons is you can instill intelligence, like human-like intelligence, onto creatures and plants. It's a pretty high level effect to do that, but you can basically create, like, literally you can make friends. And these spiderling fighter craft are metal, but if you were to make one out of wood, a druid would then be able to awaken. It's called awakening. You'd be able to awaken a wooden structure to take on sentience and be able to basically animate itself. You know, the object can like clunk around and stuff. And since this is basically a spider with legs and stuff, if I were to animate this, it'd be powerful magic to do it. But if I were to animate it, it would basically become like a living pet that I didn't need to feed, it didn't need to sleep, and it can fly, and it can fire weapons and shit. So a fun thing to do in D&D is have powerful characters, have fighter ships like this, awaken them so they become pet companions, so that you can just have your pet pilot itself as a ship, leaving your character's action economy free to make attacks, cast spells, to do different exploration stuff. I love that. I absolutely love that style of play. I know that's I know for you that is, you know, out of context for what you're familiar with. But for the D&D audience that's going to be tuning in from home later, get excited about living ships. I got a lot to, after I publish this book, there's like 3 or 4 more books I want to do using the ideas and mechanics that the game mechanics that we create inside of this book. Opens up a shitload of really fun opportunities. How does that? Yeah, I need to back this down like this. There we go. I'm almost out of time this morning. I have my day job that I got like 2 minutes left, so my alarm's gonna pop like in 10 seconds. Let me catch up with the conversation here. The most crazy thing I've stolen was a pack of Skittles from a concession stand. They were somehow stale. Isn't that just justice, my man? Oh man, I went to the gas station yesterday and bought a slew of stuff, and on a lark, I decided to buy a stick of Parmesan cheese. And I had so many things in my arms that I shoved this cheese, the Parmesan, into my pocket. And when I checked out, I forgot about it, completely forgot about it. And then when I left the store, I cinched my backpack up on my back. You know, I shrugged my backpack on, and it caused the Parmesan cheese to fall out of my pocket. And it hit the concrete. I'm like, oh shit! So it was like, I got to turn around and go back in and pay for it. Which is great, because when I pocketed the Parmesan cheese, I like, there's security cameras. There's a few different security cameras in the convenience store part of the gas station, And I specifically held out the Parmesan cheese and shoved it in my pocket to show I know I'm putting this in my pocket. And then I walked out without paying for it like an asshole. So I'm like, oh man, I really need to make sure I go back in, because like I always like check myself on a camera like that. If I put something in my pocket, I'm always like, hey, I got this thing, I'm putting it away. And then when I go check out, I make sure I make a big flourish of pulling it out and putting it down. I just completely forgot about the Parmesan cheese last night. That's so funny. Like, who cares, right? But still. Speaks to, you know, again, integrity is everything. And if you hold yourself accountable, it doesn't matter if someone else tries to. Literally, it just does not matter. Oh shit, yeah, I'm supposed to be logging out and going to my day job, so I'm gonna have to put up the pin for now. That's lumpy in the wrong way. This central mass here, like this thing's kind of pointing in this direction, and I need to get that circle more like here, going in this direction. So I'm going to have to massage this shape over in this direction. So that's what we'll be spending some time on. The curve is good back here. I'm great with this back edge. It's just this front edge needs to be sculpted so that it fits the overall shape here. And once I do that, I'll be able to drop in the legs, and then we can do the decal work to drop those in. That should drop in pretty naturally, and then this will be done, and then we get to do it with this one too. But we'll need to pick a different angle, because we somehow stole this guy's angle and we built it over here. So we'll need to change this guy so he's more like this. So we'll get to there. So anyway, that's today's stream. I'm here 6 days a week. I'll be back here tomorrow, continuing to work on this guy's butt. We have a couple more asteroids to do over here that we can finish up. And once we get these two guys done, I might just finish the second spider over the weekend on my own, just to get him off my plate and to start the next piece. We still got maybe 15 some odd different pieces like this that we need to do before the book can publish. So we're going to be hard-pressed to be done in October. But when it's done, it's done. I can't rush the process. So in D&D, do you roll dice for chance? Yeah. The randomizer, you roll a number, and there's like a target number that you're trying to hit. You have to hit or roll above a target number. Some games are like you want to hit the number or less, but most like in D&D specifically, the better you get modifiers that you add to the die roll. So you'll roll the die and potentially just succeed because of the die. But sometimes the bonuses that you have, like if you're really good at shooting things, right? And you use a gun to shoot things at it, like you might have like a +5 bonus to your die roll. And like the result might and it's a 20-sided die, so each pip is 5% success chance. So a +5 to your roll is like a +25% chance out of 100 of being able to hit something. And generally, if you hit a lot of times, like if you roll a 20, you're gonna succeed. So like if you have a +5, you only have to roll like a 15 or higher to succeed, but you could roll up to a 20 for a 25. So you can ratchet up the difficulty of achieving different tasks, but only if it's something that you just can't automatically do. If it has a meaningful result that could change the flow of the story, you make the die roll, and if you fail, you have to go down the narrative of I fucked that up, now what happens? Or I succeeded, now we get to see what the narrative and the story becomes because I succeeded, and that becomes a collaborative process between the narrator, called a dungeon master, and all the players that each represent a single character that are making these decisions as a team. And you pick a goal. The DM creates challenges that slow or prevent you from succeeding at that goal. And then you as a team figure out what resources you have available to achieve the goal that you want, which creates new problems and presents new goals that you can achieve. And that way you create an ongoing storyline. It's a pretty dynamic, interesting system of entertainment. But I am over time, so I gotta go. I'm going to be back tomorrow. I'm happy to dive into the realm of what Dungeons and Dragons and role-playing games are in general tomorrow, but I gotta step out for now. So thanks a lot. Plants, thanks to you for hanging out specifically. It's good to have conversation. Anyone else that's out there at home lurking, Like, subscribe, hit the bell icon. I'm here 6 days a week, and we're always talking about shit and drawing and making up stuff. So I will be here on the other side. Hope to see you there too. Cheers.